Hi there, I'm Chef Reuben Riffel and welcome to the Uncharted Cook-Off, the South African edition. So today we're going to Portugal. Each week I'm going to be challenging some of South Africa's favorite home cooks, and we'll go up against each other. We'll receive a secret box of ingredients and we'll obviously go to different countries every week.
Hi guys, welcome to my kitchen. And I'm very excited to be this part of Cook-Off, Gordon Ramsay Uncharted. I'm cooking along with Chef Reuben. And of course, we are cruising to Portugal. And we all know that Portuguese are known with their good seafood. I thought let me just do the seafood curry. I've got the mix of the seafood here. I've got prawn, I've got mussels, and I've got king clip. I've got white wine, I've got seafood stock, I've got tomatoes, plain yogurt, onion, red and green peppers, and I've got my mixed spice. It's mixed with paprika, cumin, and cayenne, and a bit of coriander. Also, I have butter and oil and garlic, of course, and salt and pepper. I'm so excited to do this, and I want to see who can take us better to Portugal. So I'm excited also to see what his Chef Reuben is bringing us.
My dish is, I was trying to keep it really more Portuguese. So this is a dish that comes out of the region called Alentejo, where they put together seafood and pork. The flavors of tomato, peppers, and smoked paprika. So yeah, looking forward to it.
So what I normally do when I cook my seafood or any kind of seafood, but this one is from Portugal, what I'm going to do, I'm going to add olive oil and butter. I like it that way. It brings out that smoothie, creamy flavor in my stew or cream or whatever I'm cooking. I normally like to balance the olive oil and butter. So I'm going to heat my pot now and add some olive oil, and I'm going to add the butter. Okay. Okay. As my butter is busy melting, I'm going to add onion, peppers, and garlic. Also, I'm not going to fry them for a long time. I'm just going to saute them because when you're still eating, you want to have that crunchy of your veggies. Going to pour in the onion. Peppers to bring the color. And of course the flavor. And I'm going to add some garlic. And I'm just going to saute this. I'm not going to fry it for a long time. Just want it to stay crunchy and it keeps the beautiful color.
You're going well there, Zanele. Listen, so I'm looking forward to seeing that curry. It's such a pity, you know, I can't taste it today, but I like the idea of where you're going with it. I mean, all the ingredients are there, which is awesome.
I feel very blessed because I once tasted your curry in your cookbook. I love, it's my favorite curry, that one.
Lovely.
So it feels like I've tasted your curry somehow.
Yeah, but now you have to give me your recipe, then we can call it.
I will definitely. I'll send you my cookbook. Anyway, you're not there, Chef. What are you doing now?
Okay, so Zanele, the interesting thing for me, again, with Portuguese food, I mean, first of all, yes, they've got amazing seafood, but they also eat a lot of pork, actually, you know, and they love their pork dishes. And this, you know, the combination of the two for me was quite interesting. You know, they've got, Spain obviously is more known for paella, but actually in Portugal they also do their version of it, and they use pork, they use chorizo, they use the seafood in there, and then they also have a dish where they do pork and clams. So this is kind of a play on that. So my base of this is going to be like a sauce that I'm going to make with the peppers and the tomatoes and some onion. So that I'm going to cook down, and I'm going to actually cook it into a nice flavorful sauce where I'm going to add some smoked paprika to it to get that nice smokiness. But what I'm going to start with for the pork itself, what you need to do is just kind of slice it. This is pork fillet or tenderloin, so you don't need to really tenderize it or anything. But this I'm just going to cut, and then I'm going to marinate this for the pork for about 20 minutes or so in a combination of wine, some onions, smoked paprika, and it will soften it even more. And then towards the end, as you know, I mean, pork tenderloin cooks quite quickly.
Yeah,
I'm just going to then sort of flash fry them a little bit. And then the seafood, the idea is to capture some of that nice seafood flavor in that sauce as well. So I'll first start by cooking my mussels, and then I want to take them out. But, you know, the other thing about Portuguese food as well is the kind of the taste of that roasted caramelized taste. So I'm not necessarily going to be cooking over fire, but I want to give some sort of smoky flavor to the pepper. So I'm going to have that over my flame. And then when I cook the fish, I'll cook it in the same pan basically. And then all that sort of pepper, tomato flavor, wine, I'm going to sort of add in that same pan to be able to take on the flavors of the seafood.
I like the idea of mixing seafood and pork, because especially the fillet is very soft. And I was asking my husband last night, I never been to Portugal. He's been there, and I was asking him, what is the most famous dish there? And he kept saying the prawns. They are known of their very big pork prawns. I've really never been there, but now I'm really interested to go to Portugal and taste this food. But I must say, you make it sound like you've been there.
Zanele, and then I like the idea of using you said smoked paprika using in your curry?
Yes.
So, I mean, like if you make seafood curry, then do you keep it kind of light, or do you make it, you know, if you cook a meat curry, then it's quite heavy in terms of spices. But do you keep it more creamy and light, less spicy?
Yeah, I always like using the smoked paprika when I do seafood, because seafood already has the overpowering flavor and the smell. So you always want to balance it out before you add the seafood itself in your pot. So I always try to use the smoked paprika when I make the seafood. But when I'm just making any other proteins, I'll use just the normal paprika. But with the seafood, smoked paprika.
Okay, so I'm gonna start just cooking off my fish quickly. So just a little bit of olive oil in the pan. And I'm also just seasoning the fish with just salt, pepper, and just this nice mixed spice that we got here.
But I'm now going to start adding my liquids because I don't want to overcook my prawns. Prawns, when you overcook them, they become too rubbery.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, it must cook very lightly.
Yeah.
You can obviously, I'm busy cooking the fish quickly. So I want quick high heat, so I want a little bit of color on the fish. And obviously this is also a way of getting that kind of flavor into the oil. But I don't want to cook the fish too far. Basically just sealing it off, and then I'm keeping it almost like medium rare, and then in the end I'll just finish it off. Well, my dish is inspired, Zanele, by the Alentejo region. So I'm just going to call it Porco Alentejo.
Oh! Sounds very fancy. Okay, I'm going to start adding my liquids now. First, I'm going to start with the seafood stock. And tomato. And of course, the white wine.
Nice.
Now, I'm just going to mix it together and let it cook for about 5 to 8 minutes. I'm going to close my lid and before serving, I'm going to add plain yogurt.
I'm also just like giving a light cook to my prawns here, and I actually want to add a bit of butter at the moment.
Yeah,
Because prawns and butter goes well together.
it's the best combination. Okay. Just gonna add just a few dried chilies, build this taste.
So, Zanele, I've also just given my prawns just a light cook. You know, I like to prepare. This is kind of how we do it. We would do it in a restaurant. You know, it was always obviously not prawns. Prawns will cook to order, but for this dish, I just gave it a light cook, just kind of sealing it off a little bit. And now I'm starting with my sauce, which is the most important thing. So it's onions going in, a little bit of garlic. And I kind of want to, you know, the idea is that I want all the seafood, because you know you want the seafood to be cooked just right.
Yes.
So all the seafood and stuff I want to add sort of towards the end, but at the same time, I want to cook my pork, not completely last minute, but I also want to give it enough time to tenderize a little bit in that wine. So my onion is in, garlic is in already. And I'll show you my pepper here at the back, the smoky one. It's like almost black now. So that skin comes off fairly easy. I can just really use this cloth to get it off, but I don't want to make a mess. You know, the nicest part for us, for anybody really, if you love food and, you know, part of going to different countries is really, you know, it's tasting their food. I mean, that is obviously, it's nice to just be there, and especially in countries that's by the seaside or wherever. But I think you learn so much about the people and the place by the food, which is for me my favorite. You know, the first thing I do is when I go to a different country, it's not always that I go to the restaurants. I go to the supermarkets or the fresh markets, and then you can see the ingredients and
yes.
I mean, that's what I love about traveling. So, I mean, this has also inspired me. I mean, I want to go to Portugal now.
Same here. I'm very inspired.
Maybe we'll bump into each other there.
True. It's always nice to learn other people's cuisine. You know, we can't just be stuck with what we already know or what we already have. It's interesting to learn other dishes.
Ah.
My curry here is getting there, and I'm loving it.
How's it smelling there?
It smells amazing. Almost smells like I'm in Devon.
When are you putting in yogurt?
About 8 minutes. I'm still gonna let it just simmer a bit.
Okay.
Yes. And how far are you that side?
I'm putting in my tomatoes. The peppers are in now. And then in the pan, I'm going to add some wine. I want to add a little bit of smoked paprika as well. There's, at the moment, garlic, onions, the peppers are in there. I'll keep this sort of like smoky pepper for when we plate up. So this just needs to come up to temperature now, and then it obviously starts to make its own sauce. The tomatoes, especially, I think I'm going to add one more tomato. Can I see what's in your pot there, Zanele? Ah, look at that.
Colorful, hey?
That's super colorful.
Yeah.
Lovely. And look at that nice size prawns you have as well. Yours are bigger than mine, Zanele.
Yes, I got mine from Portugal.
Okay, salt and pepper going in. I'm actually going to add a bit of green chili.
Okay, like I said, prawns or any seafood cooks very fast. And you don't want to overcook your prawns because they tend to be rubbery when you eat them. You must just saute them. By sauteing them, you just make them cook very fast and they still stay soft inside. Like I said, just heat in the oil, fry onion, and then add them in oil. Not in oil, in onion and garlic that are sauteed because you don't want it to swim in the oil. I didn't have a lot of oil, I didn't have a lot of butter, it was just balanced, so it just sauteed. You want to infuse all the ingredients together, so you want to cook very slow. And also something that I learned when I was cooking, that in Portuguese, they don't do things very fast. They take their time to do anything that they do. They're always taking their own time. So it's my curry. I'm taking my own time. It's not boiling, it is just simmering. So it gets to infuse all the flavors together.
I mean, you have to start with a good quality prawn. In South Africa, obviously, we get our prawns always frozen. Very seldom can you get it fresh. So you have to make sure that they're good quality. They're very dry. I always make sure that my prawns are dried before I actually cook them, because you don't want any moisture on them or excess moisture. So the idea is that you can either do a hot pan, or if you have a nice oven that's on grill, what I normally do is I've got a nice pan, set up a bit of olive oil, a bit of garlic in there. I coat my prawns in garlic and olive oil, and then it just goes straight into the pan. The highest heat that you can get, especially for color. They cook fast. That's the idea. As soon as they turn sort of orange, and they firm up slightly, it's better to almost slightly undercook them than to take them too far, because the residual heat, especially if you take them out, will cook them completely. Then you get a nice juicy prawn. Okay, so now just a little bit of salt, pepper. You see, this pork fillet is just so soft. It's crazy. I'm going to turn it almost now. How's that curry, Zanele?
My curry is ready, chef.
Just before serving, because remember, you don't want to cook your plain yogurt. You can cook it for a little while, you can't overcook it, or you can't cook it for a long time. You normally cook it when your curry is ready. So when you're going to turn off your stove, or just maybe on 1 or 2, you add plain yogurt. You can just use sour cream instead of plain yogurt if you don't have. And if you have plain yogurt, you're good to go.
Okay, so my sauce is done.
Hey, chef.
So I've just blended, the tomatoes, the peppers and everything together. And to this, you can actually, if you want to soften it, you can just add a bit of butter, you can add some olive oil.
Yes, chef.
And this is...
It looks amazing. It looks so nice and creamy.
Yeah, I cooked it in the same pan as what I just sealed off the seafood in. My seafood is now quickly in the oven. The mussels I've just sort of cooked off here quickly, just to get some color.
Yes.
So I'm going to start quickly plating up as well.
Can't show much of my plating skill with this. It's just simple and straightforward.
Nothing wrong with simple and straightforward. Okay, so I've got my sauce here at the bottom. It's got that nice smoky flavor of the paprika, a bit of spice chili. The nice thing, when you add a little bit more olive oil into it and you blend it, it becomes kind of nice and creamy. So you have that acidity and creaminess. So that's the bottom of the dish. And then on top, I've got the monkfish, and then that's the pork that's been marinated in this smoked paprika and the wine with the onion. The mussels I just kind of sealed off. And so I just, I want to see everything on the plate. So Ranging on that sauce, and you can see that color, the red at the bottom with the seafood on top, that's got that nice roasting color on it. It really goes well. And then this is that smoky, that pepper that I made early on over the flames. So that adds a bit more of that smokiness to it. And because there's a bit of chili and quite, all that nice, strong flavors, then it's nice to just to have something creamy, soft, like a yogurt that I'm going to add now. Just here towards the end.
Nice.
So when you eat, you can kind of get a bit of yogurt when it gets a bit too hot. But the nice thing about yogurt is that it doesn't just balance flavors. It's also that nice acidity that it's got, kind of like brings more flavor. And then normally I'll add some, you can add some sort of coriander. I just got some nice leaves here.
I love the flavor of coriander, chef.
Yeah, I love it. I love coriander. Some people don't, Zanele.
I know,
I always
right?
feel sorry. I really not like it.
They're missing out.
They are. Okay, so the last thing I want to do is just a bit of olive oil and then
beautiful, chef.
Here we go.
I always like my curries not to be too thick. I like them running because I believe the secret is in the sauce. Like you made your sauce separately, so it goes beautiful with your main. So the secret is always in the sauce. Thank you, Chef Reuben, for cooking along with me in this exciting cook-off, the Gordon Ramsay Uncharted. I really enjoyed myself cruising to Portugal. I learned a lot of things from you, Chef. Thank you so much. And I'm also looking forward to try your recipe. It looks amazing. And I'm also excited with this dish that came out because most of it was something new, or something that never thought it can work together, but it all worked together. The wine, the seafood stock, the prawn, the big prawn. I'm looking forward to go to Portugal next time. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Zanele, for being such a great sport. I have to say I was a little bit nervous there in the beginning. I thought you were getting sort of ahead and I was lagging behind a little bit. Just the idea of that curry, such a great idea. I think this is an excellent way to get the Uncharted cook-off off the ground. I think you did a fantastic job. Unfortunately for me, I can just only look, I can't taste. But yeah, this was a lot of fun. It's great to be able to explore and experience other countries through their food. And I think the great thing is we can do it here at home. We can do the effort to find some of the ingredients. And it's great to have a bit of a theme to your cooking sometimes. And the great thing is you learn something new. You learn something different if you explore and if you research a little bit. So I thought that was amazing. You saw both mine and Zanele's dishes. So let us know in the comments what you think. And I'm looking forward to next week where we have another chef that I'm going to do a cook-off against. So looking forward to that. Catch Gordon Ramsay Uncharted Wednesdays on National Geographic at 9 p.m.